You can have anything I got. All of me right on the spot. Da 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 da. You can have anything I own. Work my fingers all the way to the bone. Da 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 da. Now, baby, I don't wanna be fictitious. Bang. Say I can get you anything that's ridiculous. Bang. We gotta get to the episode. But babe, we gotta get to the episode, babe. I was about to get into it. I know, but we gotta save that for the after party. Okay. Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy Marquise. This is your one and only favorite Taylor. And welcome back to You Stuck With Me podcast. You stuck with me. For everybody who's new here, welcome to the You Stuck With Me podcast. Welcome. Beautiful, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? I'm good. Just chilling. It's Sunday. Yeah. Chill Sunday. Yes. In this episode, we're going to be talking about something that we saw on TV that we wanted to bring to the podcast, and it's a very interesting topic. Very, very interesting. So, to kick it off, this is based on the TV show we saw, Judge Steve Harvey. Which is a good show. Yeah, it's definitely a good show. Like, people keep dogging it. I guess just because of Steve Harvey, But this is one of our favorite shows we like to watch as a couple. So, in this episode, the Judge Steve Harvey, he has three court cases in one episode, kind of like Judge Mathis. This is like Moral Court, but with Steve Harvey. Basically. If y'all remember Moral Court, what was that, like the early 2000s? Yeah. So, on this particular case, it was a married couple. Was it the husband who was breaking the suit? Yeah. No, it was the wife. No, it was the wife that was the plaintiff of the lawsuit. So, check this out. So, she's an African-American lady, married to a Nigerian man. So, the whole thing about it was, she figured, I'm married to a Nigerian. I want a traditional Nigerian wedding. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. But she was so stuck on having this Nigerian wedding, she was kind of a little blindsided or unknown to the fact of the other things that he was doing. So we're about to break down what this entire story. So this man, first of all, they met at church. So this man, they started dating, and they were married 4 months after they started dating. Yep. 2 years after they got married, this man upgraded her ring. Wait. We got to go in chronological order here. So, first, they talked about how they met in church, and the pastor gave the blessing, right? So, after 4 months of dating, they said the I do's. So, the pandemic happened. So, they never really got the wedding they wanted. They did, I want to say, like a city hall situation or a small private thing, right? So in the process of that, he was under the impression that he promised her a Nigerian wedding. Right. So instead of getting the wedding, she got a bigger house. That was number one. They was already living together and everything, and they was living in a nice, decent sized house. So he bought a bigger house and expressed that he made sure that it had the bigger bathroom, bigger tubs that she wanted. That's number one. Okay? So before we get into number two and number three, the husband explained to Judge Steve Harvey, I never really promised her this Nigerian wedding because it costs too much. So what he did was he brought in three pieces of outfits, right? I think it was the one that the mother-in-law would wear, the husband wear, and the bride. All that together, we looking at about $50,000, I think, right? Somewhere ballpark figure. He's like, that's really expensive. Now, when he first tells his story, he gives an impression that he's being cheap or doesn't have the money. But later on, it's revealed that he comes from a family of accountants. So he wasn't being cheap, he was being financially smart. So after that, he tells that
he tells everyone that he upgraded her ring after 2 years of marriage without her even asking.
For Christmas. Without even her asking.
And then we come to find out later on that not only did he buy her a new house, upgraded her ring, he's taking care of her kid too.
Yes.
She's a single mother.
So how we found that out was Judge Steve Harvey asked, what is it about him that she loves about him, basically. And she was like, because he's patient with me and he took me in and my son. He treats my son like it's his own. And I was like, hold the hell up, sis. You over here really gung-ho on this Nigerian wedding. He bought you a bigger house.
With the bathroom and the bathtub that you wanted.
He upgraded your ring with only being 2 years in marriage.
And you didn't even ask.
Without even asking. And he took care of your son.
We watching this episode, like, dude is insane. What are you complaining
about? And all the audience members are just saying, what was his name? Lou.
They started chanting this man's name, like, at first, and it's funny, Steve Harvey's funny, because at first he was looking at dude like he was nuts. And then as the story goes on, he was like, oh, you up 50 in the fourth quarter.
Right.
I'm not going to lie, I was chanting, I'm like, dude cold, dude is saying he did all this, and she tripping about a wedding, why?
But wait, plot twist. They still get the wedding. Did she still get the wedding that she want because the court awarded them what?
16 grand.
16 grand to have that actual wedding ceremony. I'm like, wow.
But this is the thing that we wanted to discuss. I'm gonna speak from a husband's perspective. As a husband, you're going to try to go all out, or at least you want to go all out for your wife to make her happy. But I would say that sometimes what a man goes through to make his wife happy is often overlooked by the wife. And beautiful, correct me if I'm wrong in any facet. What do you think?
I say it's both ways. Sometimes what a husband does for a wife can get overlooked, and sometimes what a wife does for her husband can also get overlooked.
So in this scenario,
it all depends on the couple.
On the couple, and I think also on the situation.
Yes.
But with this situation, at first when I was watching it, she came off spoiled, entitled. But on the flip side, I had to think also, she may have been in a situation where her entire life she dreamed of her wedding, which is nothing wrong with that.
And not to cut you off, she probably was in previous relationships where it was full of broken promises. Because that was part of her lawsuit. She was suing him for the wedding and also for other broken promises.
Which ended. Well, we're gonna tell you guys what happened in the end at this episode.
I mean, we probably already we told them they end up getting money.
But we didn't get the specifics, so.
I guess.
So, as we're watching this episode, like I said, she came on spoiled, entitled. But I also had to look at it on the flip side because, for all we know, all her life, she could have been dreaming about her wedding day. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Has to fight. Is that an ice cream truck?
That kind of threw me too.
We sorry, y'all. It's just we back in track. We back in track.
But I mean, just it took me aback a minute. But after watching it and like letting everything soak in and analyzing the episode, I couldn't just completely judge just from one side of the story. I had to look at it from both sides. So that's why I said what I just recently said, which is she probably been thinking about her wedding and her entire life, and that was something special for her that she wanted. And fortunately, they were able to get it.
Well, I never seen her as spoiled. I just thought, okay, maybe she just, I do agree. She probably came up as always dreaming of what her dream wedding was. Thinking about planning her dream wedding since God knows when, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then also, too, I mean, I admit, because I do this as a woman, sometimes we might have selective hearing and we hear a wedding and take one piece of what you say and run away with it. Mm-hmm. So I kind of felt like it was that. She probably felt like, okay, he probably told her, yeah, we're gonna have a wedding. But, after COVID, the pandemic happened, those things shut down. Mm-hmm. Right? And
Which is a
possibility. And he probably told her, we're going to have a wedding, but he didn't really explain, like, how big of a wedding. Like, they never really got into, like, deep details. So in her mind, she's like, oh, he already provided me with this. He want to give me the world. He wants to give me the best, which I believe he does.
I mean, what good husband wouldn't?
Right, but, it's never really had that conversation of, like, details. Like, okay, are we going to do a big, extravagant wedding? Or are we going to do a small, private wedding like that?
Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, discussing this episode, to break it down to what eventually ended up happening, like we said, first of all, her part of the suit was thrown out, so she didn't get any money. But Judge Steve Harvey offered ruled in favor of her husband and gave him $16,000 for the wedding, and he said use every penny of it. So with that being said, you guys finally know what that happened with that episode if you ever seen it or don't watch it. Leads to the meat of our episode, which is expectations in a relationship. So to start this part off, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong if you think differently, that expectations in a relationship should be established way in the beginning, and there doesn't need to be any, beating around the bush or trying to read between the lines. You need to say what you expect in a relationship, and there's nothing wrong with that. You deserve to have your standards and what needs you feel need to be met. But on the other side, you need to be able to provide those same things for your significant other. Not to say it's going to be perfect, you're not going to fall short, but at least you already have those boundaries and those things established, so there won't be any miscommunication going forward.
I agree with that to an extent, but hear me out. I say that a foundation needs to be set, okay? Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is you're just starting to learn that person. This is like a trial run. You don't know if they're going to be in it for the long run. Like, you don't even know if it's going to be short-term, long-term, right? I say a foundation needs to be set, right? Mm-hmm. Then after a period of time, you get this feeling like, okay, I can see myself with this person or whatever like that. Then another conversation needs to be had. That definite expectations, like, this is what I want out of our relationship. Because now it turns from a foundation of a relationship to this is what I would like to see in our relationship. Because now I have an understand. Now I have this understanding. I have this feeling. Okay, I want you around, right?
Right.
And just like anything, over time, things change. So the expectations I might have had of you when I was, because how old was I when we got together? 25. So when we got together when I was at 25, my expectations then are different now because I've gotten older.
And I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my next question. Do you think that over time expectations in a relationship change? Obviously, you said yes. So to answer my own question, I do believe that expectations over time change because situations change in a relationship. Example, you get married, you have kids, you start a new job, things like that. So I think that if you can, or at least try periodically, to have those conversations where, like, how many expectations change, what do you expect, what do you think that is important or what is no longer important, and then how can you and your significant other in this relationship, in this space, pivot for certain things and move forward and continue growing together, making your relationship grow in a positive form, whatever have you.
Yeah, and then also I feel like if you can't come to your significant other about what you want out of a relationship, then that's a whole nother conversation that to be had. Like, for example, because I always like to use us as an example because we have some
detail.
We have some deep conversations. So I want to say, what was it, after let's say about 5 months to a year, we were dating. I came to you. I simply asked, where do you see us in 5 years? I asked, where do you see us in 5 years? And what are your thoughts on marriage? Like, have you ever considered about being married? Basically, like that.
And I remember answering to the fact, like, in 5 years, I see us hopefully married with kids and a nice house, good jobs, and it was something else I added to the end. I don't remember, but that was.
I think it was pursuing entrepreneurial goals.
Yeah, pursuing entrepreneurial goals. But I think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for me to give you that answer, and we obviously are in a space where we're following that question and that answer, because 5 years later we're married and we're pursuing entrepreneurial goals. I think that was, I would say, something that I don't want to say I just like fed you an answer, but not just gave you the answer that you wanted. You saw the plan and how it progressed. So I think that was right up your
alley. But at first, I thought that you was feeding me some answers because, and I'm sad to say this, because of past experiences. Mm-hmm. Again, that goes back to what I was saying before. The Taylor that you started dating at 25, it's not the same Taylor right now at 30. Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I'm 30, y'all. I know I look good. I look like a little kid. But yeah, so you know, the mindset has changed and experience has happened.
Not only is the mindset and experience, but the needs of the relationship have changed as well. So it's not like, okay, we're just dating, we're having fun, yada, yada, yada. You know, at this point in our lives, we're married, we're living together, we have bills to pay, we have other things that don't take as much priority as they did.
Yeah, so like then at the time, I'd be more about like vanity and looks and stuff like that.
Now it's about stability.
And how, you know, we come off towards other people. Now it's about stability.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. And, you know, being basically working smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. And as the good sis, our good sis, Relisa, shout out to Relisa. Love her. As she put it, it's not about grinding. No, it's not about grinding now. It's about hustling. Because when you're grinding, you're wearing something down. Right? And hustling, you're working smarter, not harder. We in that age range now. Like, we don't need to be grinding, putting more wear and tear on our bodies. Mm-hmm. Need to be hustling, work smarter, not harder. Mm-hmm. That is a word.
Word of the day.
Thank you, Relisa. Thank you. So she's gonna be ecstatic about that.
So let me ask you this: as our relationship has progressed, do you think that there have become more expectations, the same amount of expectations, or less expectations, but more in a narrow frame of reference? So I guess to clear that last part up, not as many expectations, but you still require greater attention.
I would say it's been the same number of expectations, but it's been more detailed, mm-hmm. and more substance. But to answer your question, I think it's been the same number of expectations. I just want more. I'm at a point where I want more consistency.
Okay, that's understandable, because after a while, I feel like you should be able to have consistency just about without a problem. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you would have married me for no reason if you didn't think I was consistent with the things that I say and do.
Well, I mean, not only that, and then also too, early on, I saw the potential. I mean, I don't know how to put it. I saw the potential early on when I manifested that you was gonna be my boyfriend, my husband, my baby daddy. Cause I did. Cause he will tell you that probably on a later episode.
I tell him that she did. She's 2 for 3.
I told him that we're 2 for 3. I said, oh, don't even worry, bro, because you're gonna get the program, cause you're gonna be my boyfriend, and you did. You're gonna be my husband, and so you are, and you will be my baby daddy. But that will be in God's timing. Don't get too excited, y'all. Don't get too excited.
But you want to know something? Now that you say that, you saw my potential, I still don't feel like I fully reached my potential. But then again, I guess I can look at it like this: I reached my full potential as your boyfriend. Now I'm trying to reach my full potential as your husband. And I think
we got lifelong for that.
Yeah, I know, and that requires a lot of different skills and skill sets. So, skills and skill sets are the same thing. But I think it requires, a lot of different things that wasn't required of me as a boyfriend.
Exactly. So. And then you also got to remember too, you got to give yourself grace because we still kind of new. We about to hit a year, right?
Right.
And from our different backgrounds, you have more. I want to say you have more longevity in relationships in your background than I have, right?
Right.
So you still in that. We both still in that period of like, okay, we see all these positive images of marriages, and we see the negatives in marriages. So now it's to the point where we're still creating this foundation of what we want our marriage to be like. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So, for example, let's just throw it out there. Like, for example, let's just say, like your grandparents, they've been married for how long?
59 years?
About 59, 60 years. Like, you want to take that aspect of longevity, but then you see, like let's just say, my grandparents, they were separated, and we don't want to do that. So we just trying to find a happy medium, something that works for us to define our marriage, so we can get to that longevity or prosper like how our grandparents did, or avoid what they didn't do. But we trying to find a way that it's more conform to us.
And I'm glad you said that because you've seen me do this, but I actively try to find the positive. I actively listen to positive things about marriage and see what I can take from them and say, okay, we can probably apply that to our marriage. Or if it's specifically something tailored to me, no pun intended, that, I'm like, okay, as a husband, I didn't know this, but maybe I can do this, and that, and it will further us as not just me, but as your husband, or just you as my wife, but us together as a power couple.
And then also, I think one thing that helps us out is we're not afraid to ask each other questions.
Yeah, I think that at times our communication can be a little bumpy, but overall I say that we're pretty decent.
Yeah,
and we know.
And that's not to say that we're perfect. Far from it. Because again, we're not perfect, and I would say this too. I'm black and blue in the face. The same Marquise and Taylor that you're hearing here is not the same Marquise and Taylor that was here 6 years ago.
And you know what? I think we both come to the understanding that communication is an ongoing thing. It's never perfected. It's
always evolving.
Yep, it keeps on going and going and going.
It's like technology. It changes every so often.
Ooh, that's a perfect example.
You like how I did that, huh?
I like how you spun that.
I just feel like I'm coming with the words and metaphors today.
Are you on your A game today?
Oh, I appreciate it.
But I definitely like the space that we're in. Being 11 months in married, the things that we've tackled, we've accomplished. I know there's gonna be more, and it's gonna be bigger.
Oh, this is only the beginning.
It's definitely the beginning. People say that marriage is, this or that. I'm saying right now, on the record, I'm having fun in my marriage. Marriage is fun. Jokes, arguments, and all. Well, we don't really argue, but we've had.
I don't like to say we argue. I say we have disagreements.
Yeah, and
passionate disagreements.
Passionate disagreements, and they're very far few in between. I mean, sit there and think about it.
It doesn't happen often.
Yeah, it doesn't happen.
I will say that, but it happens.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes I can't stand your black ass.
Oh, sometimes you drive me crazy and up the wall.
But I mean, I wouldn't want anybody else. So.
Likewise.
You stuck with me.
Like we said this before we even got married. You gonna go in that room, I'm gonna go in that room, and we gonna sit down. We gonna figure this out.
Unless a rich millionaire wants to sweep me off my feet, I'll have to go get his money and then come back.
I would have to shoot him afterwards. No, I'm kidding. Y'all know I don't get down like that.
But all in all, expectations, I say, there are one of the essential foundations of a relationship.
I agree, and I feel like the conversation about expectations should be. I don't want to say they should be had often, but I feel like they should be.
I say it's like this. I say the best way, what works for us is step one, set that foundation. Mm-hmm. Let that marinate, because again, you're still figuring out each other. Now, after a certain time frame, my personal one, I waited about a little over a year to ask you that question.
What, as far as like what are we doing?
Yeah. Where do you see ourselves?
Okay, yeah, you did.
I did. It was about it wasn't the 2 year mark, but it was over a year. Mm-hmm. Then I think that's what opened the segue to start. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's get more definite in what we look for in this relationship, and what do we expect.
Also, I think that it was a thing that neither one of us were afraid.
Yeah, that's true.
Neither one of us were afraid.
It all depends on the mindset of the couple.
True, but I was gonna say neither one of us were afraid of losing the friendship.
Cause I ain't never scared. What? I ain't never scared. What?
You a music head?
I am. I'm full of songs.
Yeah, I'm like at least for me, I never questioned like, okay, if this doesn't work, I'm gonna lose a friendship. That never crossed my mind.
That ain't never crossed my mind because I never saw you as my friend for a long period of time. I told you were gonna be my man, and now you're my husband.
I mean, but it still had to start somewhere. I mean, our relationship started with friendship.
Okay. I just married my best friend, and
that's all I was trying to get you to say.
Whatever. Anyway, tell the people where they can find us at.
You guys can email us sticky notes at You Stuck With Me Podcast. That is USTUCKWITME@gmail.com. You can reach us on our Facebook page, You Stuck With Me Podcast. You can send us sticky notes there. And you can also find us on YouTube. You can type in You Stuck With Me Podcast on YouTube. Go to Instagram. You can find us at You Stuck With Me _podcast. That is USTUCKWITME_podcast. And I feel like I'm forgetting something.
We did the Gmail.
Did the Facebook page.
Did the Instagram.
And YouTube.
Okay, so where they can individually hit you up.
Oh, that's right. You can individually hit me up at on Instagram and Twitter. That's mine M1NE_1. That is mine M1NE_1. We do have a lot of handles.
Yeah, we do. And if you want to hit me up directly, you can hit me up on Instagram and Twitter as Queen Points. That's PO1NTZ. Again, that is Queen Points, PO1NTZ. And also, I'm on TikTok. Yes, I gave in and made a TikTok. That is Queen Points 22. Again, that is Queen Points 22.
So, to wrap up this episode, y'all remember, with your relationships, make sure you set those expectations and that you have those conversations when the expectations change in the relationship.
So this is your one and only, your favorite Taylor.
And this is your boy Marquise.
And thank you for listening to this You Stuck With Me podcast. Just make sure you like, rate, and subscribe. And also, we got an expectation for y'all. We expect y'all to share this episode.
Yeah, because we definitely want to see you guys' relationships flourish.
Yep.
Until next time, we out.
Peace.
Later.
Come back.